drawing things tightly together, who are the players, what are they doing, and what's the new player in the game?
Okay, yeah. Well, as far as the new player, I think that's something that you and I have talked about. I don't know who the new player is. I'm trying to piece together all the old stuff, and that's taken a lot of my energy up. But so as I was talking to you earlier on about the 13 families and the committee of 300 underneath them, which is 300 sort of
the committee of 300 is known to the public. That in a book by Dr. John Coleman,
yes,
ex-MI6 agent, about 23 years ago, early 2000, 1990s.
Yeah, these families show up at the Bilderberg Group and Council on Foreign Relations. They show up there, and but a lot of the descendants of these families, the 300 families, are also hidden in under, say, John Smith or Jim Jones or whatever, hidden between in regular families, but extremely significant. Not inner circle members, but second or third tier outside of that, and they're generally the scene. Okay, so you have the outer rulers and the inner rulers. The inner rulers are never. They don't need to put themselves in positions where they're seen, or they don't need to be in movies or entertainment or sports figures or presidents, because they rule with an absolute rule behind the scenes. So the Committee of 300, generally the outer heads, so they're the ones we do see on TV and in.
Are those what Irwin or people would call the second degree?
Right. Second degree in respect to what?
In respect to expendable operatives.
So, well, yes, I suppose they are expendable. Yeah, absolutely. There's still what the general public would perceive as the top of the line, though. The top, like the top players we perceive.
Yeah, that's because we see them.
Right, and the absolute rulers are unseen. And that's always the way it's been in anything. You have the outer, inner head, like I said. So, I've just been in researching more so, rather than the 13 families that are always talked about, the Committee of 300 families, and a lot of the in Scotland you have the clans, like Clan Lindsay and Clan MacGregor, or the MacGregor clan, and a lot of which are the Templars, really. A lot of those families are the Committee of 300 families, and so, like, I think the MacGregor clan is an offshoot of a Rothschild family, but they're seen as slightly less significant or slightly less powerful. And really, in truth, it's a DNA thing. It's to do with how pure or how controllable their specific. The more controllable you are, the higher position you're going to have. So if you have a certain stream that they feel is malleable or controllable, they'll put you in a position that's high. The more that you are seen to be sociopathic and a sellout to humanity for gain or fame or money, then they will place you in a higher and higher position. That's not to say that everybody who's in those positions is a complete sellout. I don't think that they are, but I think generally the rule is that you are, if you're willing to sell out your brother, or you're willing to sell out your fellow man, they will put you. If you're showing that you'll do that, they'll put you in a higher spot. See what I'm saying? So
in many respects, you're talking about how easy you're sold. You can sell your soul.
Right, and then you'd have to define what soul really meant. I've always had kind of an issue with that.
What bargain you make.
What's your soul? Yeah. I mean, what are you?
How much does it take to buy you? Are you cheap or expensive?
Right, and then I think I had this conversation with Michael Hemmingson actually a while ago, and how your television, mainstream media is pushing more and more for people to empathize with the sociopath in television and movies, and they'll create a movie or a TV show where, I don't know, Dexter is in it, like a prime example, where you'll have, and he's a serial killer, but somehow the writing will be done where you'll empathize and you think, oh, it's not so bad, you know, it's fine. I like this guy, and so you'll end up having a connection with him, although he is torturing and killing people. So that's kind of altering the mainstream collective mind in a more leaning it towards a more cutthroat, sell out sort of mode. And I think
these are the details
yes
of that particular. Who was that individual you described?
I was actually referring to a television show, a TV show. Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of got off. So I was just kind of heading that.
They were dealing with a committee of.
Yeah.
300.
So, okay.
And who's expendable? Who you can buy?
Yeah, and not everybody can be bought with cash. You know, there's power or position or perhaps to save somebody else. What would you do to save somebody you love? That's why often people people in positions of power will have. Anybody who has a position of power, they will have on you some form of blackmail, some kind of thing that if you don't continue to do as you're told, then you'll be exposed as this or that or the other. So they'll make sure that whoever is put into positions of power has some sort of fetish for something or another that is deemed obscene to the general public. So they'll have that buried somewhere, so if you mess up, it can be shown, and that can be always held on you. So you are forced then to continue. There was a scientist not that long ago who was working on vaccines, and he was an incredible genius. But they had him, and he was working for one of the alphabet agencies, and they had him on. They'd abducted him one day, and they had made his body so that it was had to have this green liquid constantly going through his veins, and if the green liquid was taken away, I don't know what the chemical was, if the green liquid was taken away, then he would, over a 24-hour period, he would die, and a horrible death. So he had this bag, this liquid, connected into him all the time, and if he didn't continue the work, then he would that would happen. And that's just another form of blackmail or form of where you're forced to do that.
If they can't blackmail you, they'll get you dependent on something.
Yes, dependency, right, absolutely. And whether it's drugs, or whether it's another chemical, or whether it's the threat of harm to somebody you love.
It implies that essentially, in order for these people to function, these creatures or whatever we're dealing with, the people who do the work for them aren't doing it really voluntarily.
I think not all, and I would say actually at this point it's 50-50. And I think there are definitely a large quantity of beings, in the guise of human beings, but people who are doing this work because they like it, because they like the feeling of subjugating and being cruel to another being, because that's how they get off. But then there is another part, majority of people who are forced into doing, and they have to do it because if they don't, there's going to be harm done to. Usually, it's not themselves; it's somebody they love. Because if you attack somebody they love, it's actually more painful. Somebody who has a heart.
But that means that they risk vengeance from those people.
Absolutely.
They have to therefore keep them in hand. It's dangerous for them to do that. It's not profitable in the long run.
In terms of the people that
if they kill somebody that somebody loves, that person will harbour hatred towards them.
Right.
But do they use the hate?
Well, I think that in terms of that, they're sort of harvesting that energy, and if like the hate, fear, cruelty, energy is very useful to them. So I don't think that they particularly care. The more you get angry or feel violent or want to attack in the same way that they are, you're always going to lose, because if you work on, this is their playing, and I don't mean to use
Yeah, I experienced that to a great deal at Sky Television.
Okay.
When they were generating specifically a massive hate, they wanted people to hate them. I used to go around the company and people were discussing how wanted to go and machine gun people in the office.
So if the Sky building itself, if that was built on an energy grid point, and you could piss off everybody in that place, and everyone was angry and was lashing at everybody else, you could that's the best energy source.
Yes, we're definitely doing that.
And reverse it back into it and then use it again. So you take that, push it back down, so you've got a cycle going like that. And everybody wants to have some form of income, and if it's a half decent income, and no one's going to leave, probably not. But they're essentially raping you energetically and paying you nothing for it.
Yeah, that was very evident. So, who are these creatures? And
okay,
the bottom line is, let's discuss the problem that we're all extraterrestrials.
Well, yeah. I think
who brought us here?
Yeah.
And who are the people who have taken control? The creatures that have taken control.
Well, okay. So I think. This is how I feel from extensively researching it, and perhaps others don't agree with me on it. It is one faction of the reptilian species that is doing this. The ones that are in control here and now, I believe, is the Anunnaki, which I think they were the Anunnaki reptilian species were. On Sirius B originally, and are not in full control though. And I think you've got the Orion group, handed over control for a window of time to the Anunnaki, and I think it's false information that the Anunnaki are at the top of the pyramid, quote unquote, and that this Orion group are way above them.
We're a very dense planet, and the matter that's here is very dense.
Yeah, the frequency we're on is very dense. Yeah, the planet itself isn't. It's just we're attached to the frequency that's very dense here. There are high vibrations versions of this planet. We're just not tuned to them right now.
Right. That's important.
Yeah.
But we are not native to this place.
No. I think that we have multiple strains of DNA running through there's nobody that's walking here that is native to this place. Certainly very, very, very few.
Are the Sasquatch native to here?
I think more. How about more native? I don't think that they, if that's.
They've just been here longer.
Yeah. Yes, definitely amazing.
So who brought us
here? Like the American Indian sort of stream of energy sort of thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. Who brought us here? And are they coming back? Or did they leave?
Right. I think that there was a human experiment, and I think we're involved in the human experiment. And the human experiment has been hijacked by a number of different streams of consciousness, species, whatever you want to call them. And I think that we have not been allowed to evolve naturally as an awakening consciousness here, and we've been usurped by another species that has taken over and manipulated and used us as slaves. But I think the human line as we know it now, the human form as we know it now, was created to be a sort of a working slave species, and on another prison planet. And this definitely, for sure, is a prison planet now. There's nobody here that is experiencing the real version of who they are.
We talked in Canterbury.
Yeah.
And you had a key.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about, I've got the key, I can get out of here.
Well,
what do you mean by all that?
Okay, so that's I think for me personally, I've been stuck in cycles here, cycle after cycle, and I think that it's something to do with my particular family line, and something to do with some soul deals that went on, and but I don't have clear memory of them, because each time you come back into the body, you get lured to walk into the light, and I think that's a false light, and I think it's like the quote unquote Luciferian false light, and then you get wiped. Your memory gets completely wiped. So I'm not exactly sure what the soul deal is. I'm just speaking from an instinct here that I made some sort of soul deal, and I've been coming back in cycles, and addressing that and looking at that and doing work. In terms of regression, not looking at past lives, because a lot of the past life stuff is ego stuff, but looking at it and understanding it and trying to break the deal so that future generations, my children and children's children, don't have to go, because it's the same, really. We're sort of like a centipede. All my family lying down and all the ones to come, sort of the same sort of connected consciousness. Whatever happened to my grandfather or his father, I carry those memories in my DNA. I don't want to have to keep doing the same cycles again. So I'm addressing that, and by doing that, it's sort of like a symbolic key. So the key that you were talking about is, for me, and it's kind of covering this kind of heart center, for me, is a key it's a form of a key so that I can break the cycle, sort of thing.
So what does this? Is it like a Mobius loop, like an infinity?
Yeah.
Run as we go through the procession of the equinoxes.
Or the sun coming up and going down, or the 28-day moon cycle. Same thing. It's all that they're only there. I mean, the sun coming up and going down is only there to reinforce that you are in a dualistic. Why does it have to be light and then dark? It doesn't really. There's not just forcing me into the belief of duality and polarity. Why do I have to look at a watch? Why do I keep looking at the time and looking at my watch? Okay, it's this. Doing that reminds me to do that. It's reinforcing that that's real, and it's around a circle. So the hand's going around a circle, so it's reinforcing again that I'm locked into a time loop. Even the pentagram symbol, really, outside of it being earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, outside of that, it's the five senses locked in a prison, imprisonment of the five senses, obsession with five sense flesh experience. And I think that you can get addicted to sensation, any polarities. You can get addicted to lifetimes. And I think that somewhere along some of these cycles, I got addicted to pain and pleasure, some way or another. And then once you do that, you keep coming back in cycles like that.
This is a creation of 3D reality.
Yeah.
You need to stress the time-space continuum with pain and pleasure. You mentioned that, otherwise it would collapse.
Yes. So they have to keep reinforcing that in everything. I mean, it's really hard because there's so much MK, there's so much mind control, and everywhere you look. I mean, you don't. If you turn the radio on, you're going to be bombarded by frequencies that everything kind of screams, stay, or everything, stay here, stay here, stay
MK
here.
Ultra.
So like that. I think there's an analogy I heard sometime when if you have a goldfish bowl, and to keep a plastic ball at the bottom of the thing, you have to hold it down like that because it's natural. And you have a plastic ball, its natural state, the plastic ball would be to float on top of the water. If the hand is holding it down, it has to constantly hold it down at the bottom of the bowl. It has to be constantly holding it down. And if the hand is taken away at any time, the ball will immediately rise to the top and be in its natural state. So that, I think, is an analogy of where like the human consciousness is at. It has to be constant at this point because we're awakening really quickly. There's a raising of consciousness all the time, every day. Like I notice it every day. So they have to make sure that they have to be the symbolic hand that holds the ball down in everywhere you go. I can't even turn the radio on without being bombarded with some frequency or some word combination that triggers me to stay here, or a certain color, or a billboard, or a number plate, or somebody sitting next to me on the train who puts a bag there with Michael Kors as a brand name, which is MK. Why do I keep saying this? Why does it keep showing up all the time?
These are MK Ultra triggers.
Yes.
Much like the film They Live.
I think that was John Carpenter is if you look through John Carpenter's movies, they paint a perfect. He knows a lot more, like a lot of us do, knows a lot more than they're saying, and you can find a tapestry of truth throughout all his movies. But They Live is perfect example. Yeah, even down to the end of They Live, when there's a frequency thing which is holding kind of the face so that no one sees. You know, when he puts the sunglasses on and he's able to see, well, there's a frequency thing. I think that there is a frequency band that is running across everything here, which is somewhere, and I think it might be to do with HARP, or it might be to do with something else, but that is running through, which is able to maintain the veil. That
reality management.
Yeah, they got it down. I mean, it's just like a perfect science, and the majority of people do not want to leave. They're way too frightened to leave. And
where would they go?
Well, they'll have to do the same thing on a really, really similar time strain planet somewhere else, because this planet isn't going to be like this. So they'll
In
just
what way?
disincarnate, because it's going to. It's the frequency is raising too quickly. So if you're sticking with the old way of thinking, which is the dense, heavy kind of, I need to control other people, which is kind of that old way, kind of draconian way of thinking, you'll just cease to be here anymore.
Is that called ascension?
Well, I'm not a big proponent of that, like, sort of symbolically, but I think when you start talking about ascension and all that, you start kind of getting tied up into the religious connection of, am I ascending? Well, that means you're creating polarity again, aren't you? You're going up or you're going down. I'm just changing the line of frequency that I'm on.
So who are these other races?
Okay.
You've got the Anunnaki, you've got the Nephilim, you've got the Hathor, you've got the Valon, that some people call them.
Yeah.
Who are these things? Are they the butlers running the manor? And who's the Lord and Lady who should be running the manor?
Well, that's definitely perspective, isn't it? I mean, who do you? It's the democratic. Who do you want? Who do you feel?
It's the people who, in the Committee 300, they're the second degrees. They're essentially the servants.
Yes.
But somebody is running, puppet mastering.
It's always everything here is done in pyramid structure control theme. It has to be done, that way, hierarchically done in a pyramid structure. So essentially, it really would come down to the round table concepts. Then at the top, there's round tables that run Europe. There's round tables that run Australia and America, and then it would come down to. I think it comes down to 3 people at the very top. There's 3 people who come together and exchange ideas. I mean, you have these groups, CFR, and when there's tiers going back. But right at the top, there's 3, 5, 7, 11, 13.
They aren't people. They aren't human.
No. And I don't think.
These are reptilians that they split their.
The full blood reptilians are not above ground. They don't. I mean, they can be, but they generally are not. They're not shapeshifters in the same way that that we're usually thinking. They aren't human at all. So if they do deal with like surface dwelling stuff, then they're using holographic technology to blend themselves in. You can put.
Do they get us to see them?
Yeah. So
they get us to do it.
Right.
They don't actually change.
They don't change. They're not changing at all. They're giving some frequency out, which is messing with our vision, which makes us see them the way that they want.
So, for instance, something we've discovered with the scuttlers and other types of creatures or things like that, you have about a 2.5 second delay before they stop. It tells you can't see it anymore.
Right.
Is that because it's like some kind of massive antenna system on the moon or something? Is that would give you 2.5?
Okay, so with you're talking about those little, the small kind
the
of
big
like
spiders the size of your hand.
And so 2.5 second delay with what?
When you see it, you got 2.5 seconds max of perception.
Okay, so they're like like around this big.
Yeah.
And they have legs about this long, maybe 6 legs. Not necessarily 8 legs like a spider, but I've seen those before. I've seen them a number of times, and I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. And and that's interesting, you said 2.5 seconds, because I usually only see them for a few seconds.
Yes.
And they fade away. And it's usually in a half-dazed state. It's like the in-between asleep and awake is when I've seen them. And they're on the ceiling.
Yeah.
I've seen them on the ceiling, going across the ceiling. Really unpleasant, actually. Really unpleasant feeling to see them.
Okay, Max.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of hassle about James Casbolt, Michael Prince.
I know James Casbolt because I know him from when I was a child, and I was in a similar. I knew him physically when I was a kid, when we were little, from Brighton, and we were in a similar program then. I know him a little bit.
Now this is important. Are you actually saying that James Casbolt is actually real in terms of being in some kind of super soldier type program?
I know that he was involved in rituals, and he was involved in some nasty stuff that goes on with kids. That's what I know for sure. The rest of it, I'm not going to comment on any of his other stuff that he's talked about. I know that there's a lot of things that James says that are absolutely for real, but I know for a fact that he likes to disinform and likes that, and likes to do that.
I mean, some people would call that a sociopathic liar.
Some people would, wouldn't they? Yeah.
So what do you think his game is? Apart from pissing everybody off.
Well, I think he wants to get well, and I think he wants to do all right, and I think some part of him wants to heal from the nastiness that went on, because I know that stuff isn't good. I think I've talked about it before with you. A lot of the Luciferian satanic ritual stuff, and a lot of the programming, the mind imprinting that goes on from 0 to 3 and then 3 to 7. You can create an adult when you program a child from 0 to 3 years old, and that's what was done, and that's what was done with a lot of people, a lot of us that were involved in those things.
How many of you is us?
Well, I think that there are. Well, this is what I know, actually. I think that 98% of children that were involved in these programs are dead now. And the ones that I'm talking about, majority were males. And the soul chose to leave the body on 99% of them. Some are still able to speak out about it. I'm speaking out about it because I wanted, since 2008, when I had a stream of memories come back. I mean, a lot of memories come back. I have been trying to find out exactly what's going on, because I need to know what happened, what actually happened. So when I say us, I think there were kids that were used from each continent, and they tested out. It's sort of like almost like a. There was a movie that came. I'm blanking out. They're testing one against. It's almost like they're making a competition. They're testing one against. They're playing one. It's like a video game. They're playing one against the other one.
So you mean you're being played against Casbolt? Casbolt being played against you and Haley and all that.
Yeah.
But Haley's in this as well as a monarch.
Yeah, absolutely. And
there are other monarchs came to the meetup that was held in the Barge Inn. On April 27th.
Okay.
And we've had other super soldiers come forward in England with multiple implants.
Oh yeah.
And they seem to be engaged in something a little bit like meeting cat people ETs.
The feline. There's a feline race, which is a lion, sort of a lion race, and I think that they that's used in a lot of the Monarch programming, because that's I don't actually know why they use cats or what the deal with that is, but they use that as a training. So like they get turned into kitty cats, or like the whole Hello Kitty is based on that.
Yeah, Top Cat, all that.
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry, the mouse.
Totally, and that's just reinforced programming.
Scratchy.
Totally reinforced programming. Yeah. So
You also mentioned you'd met these shadow entities, the same kind of creatures that Sasha Christie and others have met, black shadow entities here in the crop circle area where we are in Wiltshire. There are crop circle makers who've claimed to, while they're making the crop circles, actually encounter big 6 foot or 7 foot black entities, shadow things.
And I think that there was deals made. These are.
I mean, these have been photographed.
Yeah,
and they seem very similar to Junior, as the black entity called Junior by Preston Nichols at Montauk.
Yeah.
And where I interviewed you before, you did have the Montauk book.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of connections.
Talk
to
about that very briefly.
Yeah. There's the Montauk boys. They generally used males in the Montauk project. They all used males in the Montauk project because of the hardwired energy of a male is like explosive energy, outward energy. And so in terms of using the trip seat, they wanted to have males in there because that is a way to project imagery into the ether to manifest it that way, whereas females the energy is more inside, internal. So they used males for that, and they used specific males that through kundalini or sexual energy, you could manifest realities that way. I think that the trip seat is a back engineered part of a ship, some form of ship. And they're using that to manifest
now that's
reality.
very interesting. I mean, the trip seat is a term used by Barry King 20 years ago.
Okay.
So that seems to be verifying what he was saying.
I haven't seen that, but yes, definitely.
They use the trip seat in Peasmore, not too far away from here.
And that comes up a lot, Miles, doesn't it? Because I think that when we were in Vegas last year, whatever abduction or whatever shit happened with there, what I feel went on was that there was a mass abduction, but it was to make sure, sort of like they gathered everybody together, and then there was some, and this is nobody's fault. I think that from what I understand, we were kind of drawn in to do that. I think there is a soul contract that we had to come to a spot at one time, but then there's manipulation that went on, and now you either realize that there is a puppeteer, there is something going on. We are being moved around by an unseen force, marionetting.
I mean, the bottom line here is you're English.
Yeah.
Casbolt's English.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing in America? What's the link?
Right.
Why is the programming happening here in this country, in Britain?
Yeah, there's a special type of programming in the UK, I think, because it doesn't go even talked about very much. I just know, even coming back here, because I haven't really spent much time back here. Yeah. I've been more over in America for the last...
I mean, the Nazis were here, advisors during World War II.
They were
being used.
Yeah.
They were so-called prisoners of war, but they seem to be used in some time-space experiments at Ludlow Manor.
Okay. I just know now, and looking back on it, the mind control that went on with as a child. I can see it all over the things I used to watch. It's funny. Okay, so you interviewed somebody, and I've forgotten his name, Miles. It's a really interesting interview. Bases 8.
Dave Marrow.
Yeah.
I spoke to another super soldier today who has Hulk out technology in him, and he sympathizes. He's done this sort of hulking out as Dave Marrow has done, and Dave again is connected with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Down in Truro.
Yeah. David definitely is, and I think I remember him mentioning. Well, I don't know, there was a TV program when I was a kid called Emu.
Yes, Emu.
with Rod Hull.
Yes, and a teddy bear type woman. There was a witch.
Well, she was a witch. She was a witch.
Yes, in the children's program.
Grotbags. She was a witch. Her name was
Yes.
Grotbags on the TV program. Well, it's just very, 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 very specific programming in that, and I obsessively watched it, and it's not even very.
So those are children's programs being used from mass mind control through general mass media.
Yeah, Thames Television was heavily involved in that and deeply connected to it. I know you've talked about the BBC and Sky as well. Well, Thames, even the old school Thames logo, where you see the I'd have to show it to you. Maybe you'd know it. It opens up Thames like that, and you see Thames it shows the as above, so below symbol like this. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, as in the film Mirage Makers, the Mirage Men. They're using that in the promo of the film,
right?
Which is their Pennington and Lundberg and I forget.
It's reinforcing a lot of the occult stuff that was programmed into all of us who were involved in that. There was deep occult programming, and so it's the Star of David, which is supposed to be a Jewish symbol, is really just male and female joined together, or as above, so below. They always like to reinforce that.
Are we referring like to the inner earth here, or what? The
inner earth. I think
the lower realm with the black sun underneath us and the earth.
Yeah, and also that what I'm saying is whatever is going on here on the microcosm version is also going on a bigger scale, just in a different version. So if you're interviewing me here, then another version of that, another version of me and another version of you is having some form of interaction on a different frequency in a similar way.
Like a harmonic relationship.
Totally, and if it's happening here, it's happening
upper and lower octaves.
Yes, it has to, because that's the nature of this reality. So it has to, and they like to reinforce that a lot. And I'm not exactly sure why, but they're always doing that. I mean, even that symbol like this is. You'll see that.
I mean, the symbol of that we're using here for.
There's something I think particularly special about the Earth too. It seems to be a gem, and it seems to be really important. And if you can have control of here, then you can have control of many, many other spots too. I think the entrance point to this frequency is the sun, or the sun that we see that rises in the morning. I think it's Helios is the name of the sun, and it's a energy vortex point to enter this frequency or into this solar system. You come in and out of the sun.
And Saturn was our original sun.
Yeah, it was the original sun. Yes, and so you have that going on. You have all the planets are having relationships with each other too. The sun has a relationship with Saturn, so that's the above part. So down here, my relationship, I could represent one thing in rituals, in ceremony, in any of that stuff. They're always replaying or being. That's what If I was sitting here dressed up as the sun and you were there dressed up as Saturn with that around you, there'd be a relationship going on like that. I'm trying to be clear here. Certainly Saturn now has become the controlling force.
I mean, it's key. That's why we had the Saturn V in the Apollo program. Originally Saturn was going to be in the 2001 Space Odyssey, but they couldn't get the rings to work properly in a special effect.
Totally, and I think I've talked about this with you before as well. I think this system on this planet is not circular, it's cubic, and we're all kind of, it's Rubik's Cube sort of thing, and the cube is represented...
The tesseract.
Yeah.
Hypercube.
Yeah. So multidimensional cube. And Saturn, the ring now, is representative of the controlling force, and I think that the moon, not being a natural object there, somehow is controlling the subconscious. So the human subconscious has been hacked, and then now we're manifesting a reality that is not ours. That is a reality.
So we are being used to
manifest a reality that they want, and that would be.
And who is they finally?
Right. So I think I think that the Orion group, which there's a planet called Betelgeuse, and there's a planet called Alpha Draconis, and the Aldebaran group as well are having a big hand in what's going on now, and kind of like the final showdown of what happens here. There's two or three factions that are kind of wrestling to have final control, and can say like, we got it, we take over from now. And there is a transition, there is the end of this, we're going into a new eon. It is the eon of Horus. This is like there is a new world, there is a new age, but there's just like a final battle to see who can take control and take hold of it.
How does this battle work? How's it?
Well, it's the unseen war, it's the silent weapons for a quiet war, because an overt war, a war where you can see, where you're using guns, where you're using bombs, is crude and can always be shut down. If you attack somebody while you smile at them or buy them dinner and then take them over, you will always do better that way. So I think that who and how, it's so kind of hidden and secret that it's difficult to know, and how it's going to transpire.
Well, maybe a pint of alien abduction beer might help us.
So you think it would?
We'll cut for that and say good night.
Brilliant, wow.